Thank you so much for coming today, guys. We're going to have a blast today. We are so very excited that you're here. We are very, very, very passionate about today. That today is going to be one of those that's going to be so critical for the next 6 months to help you get through the next 6 months. Because this is going to be so critical in what's going on, both not in your life, but in your family's life and for our community. So we're going to be going through a ton of information today. It's going to be flying at you like you're strapped to a rocket going Mach 2. I have like 8 hours of material. We're going to try and cram it into 3 hours. Okay? So, it's going to be very important that you're paying attention today. So, to get this, to make sure you don't walk away and just go into nowhere, what do you think you need to do? You need to take notes today, right? So, everybody say take notes?
Take notes.
There we go. We're going to take notes. All right. Now, we're going to be taking notes. We're going to be taking notes for 2 reasons. Number 1, for you, but number 2, for everyone else, right? Because I guarantee you, you're going to leave today and you're going to say, I wish so-and-so was here, right? Or, my friend with X, Y, and Z should have heard this, right? So you're going to be taking notes today. Now, when you take notes, you're going to be doing this. Now, whose responsibility is it to give them that information? Everyone raise your hand. Everyone raise your hand. Up high. I can't see everybody's hand raised. All right. So whose responsibility is it?
Mine.
There you go. It's your responsibility to make sure that they get this information. This is going to be the life-changing information that's going to help get you and your family through the next 6 months. Because this, when it's fall, what season is it now? What season we get into?
Flu season.
Cold and flu season, right? This is the season that we all hear about. And this is going to be the worst cold and flu season in history. And I'm going to tell you why here. Actually, a good predictor of how bad cold and flu season is going to be is how early we start seeing cases, right? When in history? In my 16 years of practice, in your lifetime, when have we ever seen a respiratory virus, a cold and flu virus, kick off in August? Never. We've never seen this. All right, so what does that tell us right now? Especially with everything else going on. Do you think everybody's immune system is at its peak, is at its best right now?
No.
Far from it, right? We're probably, our immune system is probably the lowest it's ever been when you look across the board. So that's why we're doing an immunity workshop today, right? We're doing an immunity makeover. This is to help make you over, right? Help keep your body strong and get through this so that you're going to be successful on the other end of this, not succumb to this, okay? And so when we talk about what do we need to do on this, that's we're going to be going through all these tips and tricks. So we're going to make sure you have everything you need to move it and move in the right direction on this. Now, we're going to be, like I said, there's so much information that we're going to be covering. Pay attention, right? And so I'm going to fly through it where I give you everything you need to do to move forward with that. Now, as we go through this today, like I said, there's going to be a lot of information. So what I want to do is I want to kind of start with how the heck did we get here? How did we get to the worst cold and flu season in history, right? How this all starts. So we'll walk backwards because we all lived through it. We've all been here, right? So we're going to go back to 2020. I know it seems like 10 years ago, right? We've been through enough in the last year. It's only a year ago. You realize it's about, a year and a half ago when this all started, right? 2020. Remember March? It was March, right? It was spring break. It was a great spring break. We were having fun, doing all things. Everything was going great. It was spring break, and then we started hearing, actually, there was no social distancing. I actually never uttered the word social and distancing in the same sentence before at that time. Do you remember that? Do you remember what that was like? We're all kind of like, yeah, kind of vaguely, because it's changed so much, right? And so then So we started hearing this chatter that they were going to start shutting things down, right? Remember that? We're coming off of spring break, they're going to shut everything down. And we're all just going to go home and we're going to shut down our businesses and we're going to shut down the schools and libraries and everything else, and everybody's just going to go home, and we're going to go home for how long?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, right? It was going to be 2 weeks. We're all going to go home for 2 weeks to do what? To flatten the curve, right? That was what we were told, right? Everyone's going to go home for 2 weeks. We're going to flatten the curve. Because we all want to help our neighbor, right? We all want to do the right thing. We want to help somebody. So we're going to do that, right? We're going to go home and do that. And so we're going to go home for this 2 weeks. But little did we know that the heads of corporations and governments and some, a couple other things had a plan. Their plan was never just to be just for 2 weeks, was it? And we know this. And now, but we didn't know that at the time. And like I said, we wanted to help our neighbor, right? We wanted to help the people next to us. We wanted to do the good thing. So we went along with this, and we gave up our freedoms and stayed home. But then the 2 weeks went by, and then what? No, we need to stay closed, right? We need to stay closed. And then they started talking about essential businesses, right? Only essential businesses can be open, everything else has to be closed. You remember going through that? Yeah. It seems like forever ago, doesn't it? But we're still kind of dealing with it, right? So we go through that, and you have the essential businesses, and then what else? Then what happened? Then we're starting to go through, and they said we should start getting tested. Remember that? We should get tested, and a lot of people started to get tested. But then we started seeing that a lot of people were getting tested, and they weren't even symptomatic, right? When has there ever been where people have been getting tested for something and being called a case, actually being called a case when they had no symptoms whatsoever? Never have we ever had this, right? But now this is the case. So what's happened? So everybody was getting tested, and numbers were going up, right? And then so there's these numbers of these positive case numbers, and then actually Kerry Mullins, the inventor of the test, said we cannot use this test in this way. This is never meant to be used for infectious diseases. And said if you use this test this way over here, you can make it say whatever you want it to say. So what did our government and the governments around the world say? We're going to do exactly that. We're going to use it that way, right? And so what did we see? The numbers went up. So when numbers went up, what happened to the fear? Was there fear? A lot of fear, right? People were scared. People were worried, right? And so we go through this, and so more and more people are getting tested, and then with the testing, we went through that whole thing, and the test numbers kept going up, and then they started doing. We found out that were there deaths though? Yeah, there were deaths. And we found out actually in a lot of places like Colorado, 25%, at least 25% of the deaths were actually people that had died in like motorcycle accidents and gunshot wounds, and they were going into the morgue and doing nasal swabs and getting a positive PCR test, and that was counted as a COVID death. People with terminally ill cancer counted as a COVID death. People with heart disease, heart attacks, counted as a COVID death. And what did that create? More fear, right? More and more fear. And so with that, then there are, they started looking at us, okay, what do we need to do here? And so they found out they came up with our government and Fauci and the NIH. There's 4 different antivirals they could pick from. And they chose remdesivir. Anyone, can you guys say remdesivir for me? It's kind of a fun word to say, right? But it's kind of weird. Remdesivir. So they picked remdesivir, and they picked the worst one possible out of the group. Now, they picked the worst one possible. Now, I don't know exactly why they picked it, but I think they picked it because it was the worst, was going to cause the most problems and cause the most deaths. Because there were studies with patients with Ebola that were given remdesivir. 54% of them had multiple organ failure with taking remdesivir. With COVID, 23% had multiple organ failure. But you know what? That's the standard of care here in the US, and it still is today, overall. 23% multiple organ failure from taking the thing that we're being told to take when we go to the hospital. This is a big problem, right? And so what happens with the case count and the death numbers? They keep going up, right? And it keeps going up. And then, so we go through this, and then, you know, we're told, hey, there's not going to be a vaccine for years at least. We know that, and most of us in this room didn't even want one in the first place. But there's some people that are afraid and wanted something, right? So they started. And guess what? There's this miracle. Suddenly, there's a vaccine. Praise God, we're saved. Down from the heavens comes this magical vaccine that's going to take care of everything. But so people start getting the shot. And what happened to the numbers? What happened to the death count? Did it go down? It went up. Wait a minute, isn't that interesting? So now, people are taking, but again, we just want to go back to normal. We're told if we do this, we'll be able to go back to normal, right? And we want to get stopped. I don't want to have to wear this mask anymore, this face diaper, whatever. And I just want to go back to normal. I want to go back to the way it was. So I'll get the shot because I don't want to deal with this anymore, right? And then I can just go back to normal and get back to my life again. Well, so some people started doing that, right? And then that wasn't enough, so then they started incentivizing us, right? Get a free donut when you get your shot. Get a free burger. Get a free joint. They actually do that in some places, right?
I missed that one.
I didn't get that one either. They even had a lottery that you could win $1 million like from getting the shot, right? They're doing all this incentivizing, right? And what's happening? So what happens to the numbers? Again, they just keep going up, right? And so they do this, but yet this isn't enough. So enough people aren't getting this. So now I know we gave you all this free stuff, but now you're going to lose your job. Now you're going to lose your job if you don't get this, right? And we're dealing with a lot of that right now, even stuff. Right, you're going to lose your job if you don't get this. And then there's a lot of people that said, hey, I want to travel. And I heard they might ban us and not let us travel if we don't get this, so I should go get this now, even though there's no ban on it. But yet, people are going and getting the shot because they want to be able to live their life and they want to have their job, so they get the shot, right? And what happens to fear? It keeps going up, right? Stress, what's happening in our lives? Nothing like what they used to be, right? So then, after that, right, it keeps going, right? It keeps going. We're still living this stuff. And so it keeps going. And so not after that, now suddenly there's this new variant, there's this Delta variant. You guys, right? The Delta variant? Because we're not scared enough as it is, right? Now there's this new variant. And so Kerry Mullins he actually was quoted as saying, looking at this, look at this Delta variant. It's actually not from we're talking about the variant. This is actually because of the vaccinated, not because of the unvaccinated. So it's actually this Delta variant. There will be variants, and this is because of the vaccinated, not the unvaccinated, is what he said. So this is actually a vaccine reaction is what these variants are. It's because our bodies are changing. We're doing this. So that this ecological pressure that we're putting on ourselves. So then we go through this, and we're having all this pressure on us, all this stress on us, right? As we go through this. So then what's next? What's next, right? We're like, what's going to hit us next? So we have this Delta variant. We have all this. So now we're sitting here, we're lost. We don't know what to do next, and we're getting all this pressure to do this. You're going to lose your job if you don't do this. And where do we go, right? And this is where we kind of come almost to that point right now. We're just a little bit past this now. And where do we go from here, right? And this has been a tough year for you guys. Do we agree? It's been a tough year. And do you actually know that 60% of, it depends on where you look, about approximately 60% of the U.S. has gotten the shot right now. Depends on what numbers you look at. And like you said, they're saying all this is happening with this along the ways. Now, Gert Vanderbosch, I can say his name correctly, he's the head of Gavi. If you guys have heard of Gavi before. He's also on the Bill and Melinda Gates vaccine company. And what he is actually quoted in here is saying that we need to stop this immediately. Now, first of all, he's invented, pretty much helped invent most of the vaccines that you guys can name today. So is he pro-vaccine? Very much so, right? He's a pro-vaccine guy. We need to stop this immediately. He said we need to stop this immediately because of the environmental pressure, the pressure that we're putting on our bodies right now by vaccinating so many people with this in the middle of a pandemic. It's going to cause everything to spiral out of control because the evolutionary pressure, and his quote is, the evolutionary pressure of this bioweapon. Vaccine, bioweapon was his quote, because this is chimerically made. It's man-made. It's not. So we know this is the case. So this is where we're at right now. So like I said, we've all been through this. We've all been through a lot this year. And so just kind of perspective, how many of you have someone that's been in a nursing home that you haven't been able to go visit? Right? Now, keep your hand raised if we lost them because of this. Right? This is affecting all of us. Now, we've all had so much going on. Think about this. We've all been through derecho too, because COVID wasn't enough. Let's throw a storm in there that just upsets our entire lives, right? Ruins a lot of our houses, our yards, our businesses, right? Throw that on top of it, right? No stress. We got this, right? It's amazing we're still here, right? Through all this. We go through derecho, and 50% of small businesses shut down to never open again because of this. These are people's life savings gone, right? Well, a lot of you guys gained a lot of weight during this too, right? Stressed. We get off of our habits, right? We're not doing our workouts. We're not doing the things we used to do. Where are we getting? We're all stressed to the door. How do the kids go to school? How is this going to work? Are we homeschooling our kids? Trying to do that and work at the same time. Look at where we've gotten throughout this. How is our immune system going to even possibly work through this, right? And I'm here to tell you, right now, I'm here to tell you that God tells us, God's for us, He's not against us. Fear not. Fear not. Faith over fear today, and that's what we're going to go through. We're going to give you faith today. No more fear. No more fear. And so, as we go through this, and we want to go through, who do we trust through all this, right? Because we're getting bombarded by stuff everywhere. What's right anymore? How do you even know? The new term is misinformation, right? Well, that's misinformation, or fact checkers, right? Right? How do you know what's right, right? Well, we look at everything out there. Well, where do we get, everything's based off what the CDC says, right? There's a bunch of scientists back in 2016 that filed not paper, but they filed essentially a big grievance against the CDC because of its ethics and morals and how they were taking money to say what they want. First of all, is the CDC just a government entity that is just for us? No, this is a business. They own patents on vaccines. There's a huge conflict of interest in there when they're telling us what to do when they make money by doing it, right? Now, there's been multiple ethics violations going on. We know that they're bought and paid for, yet we're letting them determine who we are, what we do, and how this goes about our life. Our governments are determining everything by what the CDC. Well, we do everything what the CDC standards, right? That's what we hear. That's our policy. We go by CDC standards. Exactly. They set the standards. So wait a minute. What? How is this? Who's checking that? You know how many doctors I've talked to recently that have actually, when you ask them about something, about the research about something, and they go, well, if you really get to them, they haven't done any of the research. We just do what they told us. Wait a minute, you're the doctor. You're supposed to be giving us the best information out there. You're supposed to be doing the work. You're supposed to be the ones knowledgeable, but you just said, well, they told me this, so I'm okay with that. I mean, that's no better than your friend Sally that just told you, you should do this for your bunion. Same thing, they like it. How's that any better? Yeah, right? And that's exactly what we're getting. And under the CDC's careful watch, what's happened? Look what's happened here. One of the highest infant mortality rates in any country in the world. We're supposed to be the biggest, the best, right? We have more kids dying in the U.S. than any place else. Is 1 in 7 children on an antipsychotic. Stop the freak right there. An antipsychotic. 1 in 5 diagnosed with an emotional and mental disorder. 1 in 3 with allergies. I mean, this is under the CDC. This is going by their guidelines. What's happened? We're getting sicker and sicker and worse on it. And we go through this and we keep following this, and guess what? There's collateral damage, right? What do you think's happened to suicides in the last year? Increased by over 50%, the suicide attempts. What about other mental illness? Through the roof, higher than it's ever been before. And back in 2018 or 2019, the average teenager had more anxiety and stress than someone in a mental ward in the 1950s. That was then. What do you think they are now? What do you think our teenagers, our kids are going through right now? Us adults, we never had to go through this. Imagine going through junior high and trying to figure out what's going on with yourself and your body and socially, right? Remember that awkward stage, right? Now throw this onto there. Who do we listen to? What am I supposed to do? I don't know. Am I supposed to be quiet? Am I supposed to do something? Am I supposed to do something? Well, all this negative emotions, what does this do to your immune system? It just crashes. It shuts it down. Your body cannot function when it's under stress. What happens when you're really stressed? Does your body always do the best thing? Not your body's going to always do the right thing, but what happens? Your body doesn't work as well, right? Because it's shutting down. Because you've done all this. You guys heard the fight or flight response before, right? Stress. But what happens when you're under stress for a long period of time? It starts really beating you up, right? Moms, right? So this starts affecting all of this, and this is what it's done to us. But so now we've created a generation that's living in fear. I mean, I was even just last weekend, I was in the University of Iowa wrestling room. And these are college students, grown men, 20-something-year-old men, and they're afraid to do something because they have what they've never had before. I was talking with the trainer, the doctors, and they're like asking permission to do just the tiniest little thing now that they would have never done before. They need to have this checklist. Is it okay if I do this? Well, they've never done this before. It's like, what the heck is going on? But what are we teaching our kids in schools? We need to mask them. You need to cover up your mouth. You need to be quiet, not say anything. Don't say anything against this. We have parents at school board meetings that are being arrested for speaking up at a school board meeting. What are we teaching our next generation? So we're teaching them to live in fear. You should be afraid. Do what we say. Do this. Be afraid. Right? What is this doing psychologically to us? What is this doing physically to us? And there's different paradigms as we go through everything here. When we talk about health, the germ theory, it's called the germ theory because it's never proven to be true yet. So the germ theory, Louis Pasteur, you guys remember way back in school, a long time ago, we talked about Louis Pasteur, the germ theory, right? So the germ theory says that there's these bugs out there. There's these germs, which bacteria, virus, whatever, and they're out there waiting to get you, and they're going to get in you, and they're going to. But okay, let's look at little Timmy has a runny nose at school, right? And he's sick, but yet you ever notice that only 2 other kids in the whole class get sick, even though he played with all of them at recess, touched the food, did all this stuff with everybody in the whole class, but only 2 of them got sick? Not everybody else? How's it that the teacher that's around all the kids with runny noses and sick all year round never gets sick, right? Never does. Wait a minute, because if the germ theory that we'd all be sick all the time, right? If that was true, if that's how it worked. The other theory is the terrain theory. I can't even say the guy's name. It was Louis Pasteur's counterpart. The other thing, by the way, Pasteur said I was wrong. So he's actually quoted, that I was wrong. Beauchamp, I can't say his name correctly. It came up with terrain theory. Now, okay, so I have a fish here. If we never change the fish bowl, never change the water in the fish bowl, never clean it, what's going to happen over time? It's going to get dirty. What's going to happen to the fish? Is the fish going to be healthy? Eventually the fish is going to be floating, right? If I don't change it up, right? If we don't actually take care of our environment, what happens? Now, would it be easier just to clean up the environment, clean up what's around us, clean up what we put in, and you think the fish is going to be healthier here or here? Over here in the clean water, right? So if we clean up our environment, what's going to happen to our health? We're going to be a lot better, right? What's going to be our longevity? It's going to be a lot better, right? So this is terrain theory, take care of the host. So that's where we're going to focus. We're going to focus on the host. We're going to focus on you. That's what it's all about today. So there's your natural immune response. So you have a natural immune response. Your body creates antigens, and they're going to tag these invaders. What's going on? Jesus is coming back. So you have tag these invaders, and we have B lymphocytes that are going to recognize this, and they're going to attack this invader, right? And then we have T cells and natural killer cells, and they're going to all attack this, and they're going to eliminate this from our body. Now, I want to go through the different layers of how our body does that here in a little bit. But first, we have natural immunity, and there's artificial immunity. Natural immunity is what our body actually is, what I just talked about. Your body's always going to do this. It always has done this. Always will do this. Anyone ever gotten a cut before? Everyone in this room, right? Did you bleed to death? No, you did not, right? You got a paper cut, you bled, but then it did what? It healed. Guess what? Your body knows what to do. Maybe you ate breakfast this morning before you came in here. Hopefully you had something, right? Guess what? Your body's going to turn that into live, living cells. Pretty freaking cool, right? Your body does that. You didn't have to do anything about it. All you have to do is put it in your mouth and chew. That's simple, right? Your body knows what to do. And so your body's going to knows what to do. And it has from birth. You get some immunity actually from mom, actually. It's pretty cool. They've actually take a picture of breast milk. Yeah, mom is, pump some breast milk, whatever. And then overnight, the baby developed an ear infection. Mom fed the baby the next day. When she pumped the next day, what happened? The milk was a totally different color. It started producing colostrum, a lot more colostrum in there, which helped the baby's immune system. How amazing is that? That just by the baby putting its lips on the mom's nipple, that the mom's body knew what to do, changed the chemistry of the milk that she's producing to give that baby, to make sure that, did the mom think about that? Did the mom do it? That's how it happens. Our bodies are so smart. They know way more than we can ever, you're intelligently made. You have a natural immunity. Now, artificial immunity is we're going to go past our normal layers of protection. We're going to bypass everything and we're going to go directly right in the bloodstream, and we're going to try and replicate that antigen response. And they do this when they do this with a vaccine. They put a lot of chemicals in there, a lot of things that irritants, aluminum, formaldehyde, things like that we know are really bad for us. But they put them in there so that our body will attack it and say, wait a minute, this is bad. We shouldn't have this here, right? And it's to try and learn. The goal is to try and learn so that you would have immunity now. But it's not the same when we try an artificial, and it doesn't last, and it doesn't work the same way. This is why they have booster shots, right? You've heard of that. So here's just an example. 1983. I'm older than that, so I have less than what's on this. But to 2018, look at the difference in here. Now, the federal government has told us that vaccines are unavoidably unsafe. They fully admit that they're unavoidably unsafe. But what's happened in this time frame, even here, look at those numbers. Went from 30 to 130. Are we healthier as a country? Are we healthier as a nation? Are the stats showing us that we're not healthier? Obviously not. So then, right? But we look at said it's unavoidably unhealthy. The pharmaceutical companies, with a vaccine, there is no liability whatsoever. Passed a law in the 80s. No, they're not liable for any problems from that. So imagine Ford Motor Company decides, hey, we're going to cut corners here a little bit. Instead of putting 5 bolts on your tire, we're only going to do 3. We're going to save some money, right? It's going to spread it out and go further, right? Especially because, supply chain is a little low right now. So they're going to put 3 bolts on your tires instead of 5. What happens? So many tires start rolling down the road, accidents happen, people die. What happens? People are going to sue Ford, and they're going to make them change their ways, right? Go back to it. Now, what happened with vaccines? You cannot sue a vaccine company for any of the damages from it. Does that sound like a good idea to you guys? What's holding them accountable for anything? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But yet, that's why, even though this jab is not a vaccine, it doesn't fall under a vaccine category, but they're trying to label it as this so that there is no liability for what's happening down the road. And what are we seeing from the shot? We're seeing huge problems. Talking about a lot of heart issues, a lot of lung issues, a lot of brain issues, a lot of things going on. But actually, and here's the other thing. Here's from the CDC. They are not required to give you informed consent about this, about a shot. They're not required to those in health know informed consent's a big deal, right? They're supposed to be giving informed consent. What does that mean? That means I tell you all the risks and all the benefits and what can possibly happen by doing this before we do it. And I'm supposed to be doing that for you. Are they doing that? I said, no, we don't have to with the vaccine. We don't have to tell you the damages. We don't have to tell you what's going on here. So that's why you guys heard of VAERS. VAERS is the Vaccine Adverse Reaction Reporting System. It's less than 1% of all vaccine reactions are reported because most people, oh, okay, whatever. And then if they do say something, they say something to the nurse that they just, I'm in the parking lot, I don't feel very good. They call hey, I'm in this parking lot, I don't feel good, something's wrong, something's not right. I just got a shot. No, that can't be from that. You're fine. Just go home and rest. You'll be okay. This is what happens very frequently. So then, what happens? So less than 1% is actually reported. Right now, there's been more reports to VAERS in the last year than the last 20 plus years of all the vaccines coming out. What is that saying? Right? What are we doing to ourselves? But truth is being censored, right? Again, who do you trust? What's going on? How do you know what's up? If you watch the news at night on the media, you watch, KCRG. How do you know what to believe or what not to believe? If you listen to the radio, how do you know what to believe or what not to believe? We know it's not the same. Here's a perfect example. Google, right? Google's so popular. It's the Kleenex now, right? Instead of facial tissue, we call it a Kleenex usually, right? You don't call it a Puffs. You call it a Kleenex, right? If we're going to look up something, what do? We Google it, right? So Google is supposed to have this awesome feature that when you start typing in something, it's supposed to give you the most popular searches, right? So that you don't have to look as hard, right? So if you type in GMOs are, and you start getting good for you, are created by, good for the environment, beneficial, so those are the top lists right there is what it says. Well, if you actually look at truly what the searches are, you can see GMOs are good are here in blue. What's that blue line? GMOs are bad in red. It's a lot higher, isn't it? So they're not telling us the truth. Yes, you can. There. So we're not being shown the truth when it comes to this. We're being directed where they want us to go. Another example, vaccines cause. Don't finish the sentence. Like, cause adults. That's the first thing that pops up. Vaccines cause adults? That doesn't even make any sense. Does it? It doesn't to me. How about you guys? Vaccine cause adults is here in blue. Vaccine cause autism is in red. That's what people are searching. But was that what popped up on the thing? That's not what people are searching. But this is what we're being misled. We're given misinformation. We're being directed out. GlaxoSmithKline, one of the largest drug companies in the world, and Google working together. They're a partnership. Wait a minute. What does a drug company and a search engine have to do with each other? What they should not be together, right? But again, it's being put to, a little bit about that. Yeah, it's just all about that, right? So I talked about Lake Erie. You guys know Lake Erie, the Great Lakes, right? Lake Erie. And back in the 70s and the 80s and even into the 90s, it was considered a dead lake. What was happening? They had all this pollution, all this chemical runoff, all this from all the industry around there, because we had all the big plants around there, and they were just pumping all their junk right into the lake. And what started happening? They started having fish that had both sex organs. They started having two-headed fish. They started having, all of a sudden they had all these fish that were washing up in shore. And then the birds were coming down and eating them. And then the birds started having really thin shells, and the birds weren't surviving. And started having all this, it's just environmental effect, just trickled down, kept going. And so, what do we do about this? So did they start to set up little fish hospitals to test them to see if they were okay or not? Did they start giving the fish shots? Go to every little fish. Oh, you need to make sure you get your shot today. Did they do it to all the fish? No. Did they start? Let's put chemotherapy in the water. Let's do that because that's going to be good for all the fish, right? Let's put chemotherapy in there. Let's just dump a bunch in, see if that helps. Did they do that? No. They put poison. No, they didn't do that, right? What? No environmentalists would say that that's a good idea. Any of those things are a good idea, right? What'd they do? Let's stop making it worse. Let's stop polluting it, and let's clean it up. What happened? It's alive again, on its own. It came back to life again. All they did was stop pouring the junk into it. This is what we need to do. We need to stop putting the junk into us. We need to stop pouring it in, whether it be crappy information, whether it be toxins, whether it be the food, whether it be the people you're around. I don't know. We need to stop. We need to let our body come back. Get back to the source, right? Get back to what we're made for. So we believe you were created perfectly. You're not flawed. You're not broken. We believe the power that made the body heals the body. Your body doesn't need any help, just nothing in the way, right? You were made perfect. And this is how we get through that. This is how we help people do with that. Through chiropractic, nutrition, your mindset, because that's most people's biggest problem actually is between their ears. So your mindset, oxygen and exercise, and minimizing toxins. So we're going to go through these today, okay? So first, like I said, faith over fear. Where's your head at? Right? Some people it's up the other side, right? So where are you, right? And you're lying right now if your faith hasn't been tested this year. If you haven't had a faulty moment this year, right? Because we've been through a lot of crap, right? We've been through enough, right? We gotta have faith. We know that this is gonna be okay. We know your body knows what to do. We know you're gonna come out strong on the other side of this. And that's why we're going to go through everything today that you need to do to make sure that you do not succumb to this, that you are successful from this. So we're talking about viruses. First of all, a virus is not a living thing that's going to attack you. A lot of people think there's a virus out there to get me. It's right around the corner. It's going to get you, right? You know, it's like, is that what virus is? No, the virus is not even a living thing. A virus is actually carbohydrates, proteins, all in there. And what it's going to do is, what does it? It needs an opening to be able to get into the body. But your body has natural defenses, right? To stop that. So you have your skin, which is your largest defense, right? But so what happens when you get a cut? Does the band first we got a picture of Band-Aid. Does the Band-Aid heal you? No. Band-Aid just helping stops more junk from getting in. That's the only purpose of the Band-Aid. So you don't get blood on everything, right? When you just get cut. That's what a Band-Aid does. It's not doing any healing. It's not fixing anything. It's just to try and help keep it a little cleaner and stop you from getting blood on your pants. So, but our first line of defense is our skin, and then our mucosal linings and our respiratory system, right? This is what, so your snot and mucus, right? That's actually good. It's protecting you, right? It's stopping these viruses, these bacteria from actually entering your bloodstream. And then, if something does get in our bloodstream, we have our second line of defense. Like I said, we have our B lymphocytes, our T cells, our natural killer cells that are going to attack whatever comes in, whatever foreign substance, and kill it and get rid of it. And then our body has our natural detoxification excretion, right? We have your bowel movements, your urination, your bladder, your liver, your kidneys, your sweat, your tears. This is how it gets this stuff out of this junk out of you. Your lymph system. So, but what is cancer? Cancer is actually abnormal cells that keep reproducing. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's not something that just came out to get you either. Cancer is when your body doesn't go through, it's called apoptosis. It's programmed cell death. Just like every cell in your body, just like every one of us, we have a life cycle that we're supposed to go through. But if that cell never dies and keeps reproducing and keeps creating more bad cells, that's cancer. Right? That's all it is. And what that means is your immune system is down. Your immune system, when it's working, kills this off. So, why are we talking about cancer and immune makeover? And your immune system is exactly why. But what are the treatments for cancer? First of all, what's the problem right now? 1.9 million people will be diagnosed with cancer this year, and a little over 600,000 will die from cancer. Right now, fun fact: you're considered a cancer survivor if you are alive 5 years after the date you were diagnosed. That's the date you were diagnosed, not when you got it, because they don't know that. Because you can have cancer in your body for 10, 15 years before you ever detect it, right? So, but if you die 5 years and a day after you were diagnosed, you're a cancer survivor, but you're dead. Does that make sense? That's why you can have, some people can be a cancer survivor 5 times over and then still die of cancer. But then we looked at what's the treatment that we use first. There's 3 basic things we use for cancer treatment. First of all, we use surgery. We cut, right? We're going to cut it out, right? Because you have extra body parts, extra organs. No, everything is there for a reason, right? Now, you got to do what you got to do, right? And so you cut this out, all right? And you go through this. So they cut it out, which can cause a lot of other things. It can cause a lot of other problems too. But or they can do what? What's another option they have? Chemo, right? So it's poison. So we're putting poison. We're going to try and kill. We're going to poison these bad cells, these cancer cells, and we're going to. What we're going to do is we're going to go through this. We're going to try and poison them enough that they're. But not completely kill you in the process. We're going to get you right up to that point, and then we're going to let your body heal. We're going to let your body heal at that point. Right? You see the problem right there? Or, what's the other choice? We're going to do radiation, right? Again, we're going to burn it. We're going to try and burn that kid. But you can burn or just chemo just exactly to just only the tumor cell, the cancer cell? No, we can't. And so, that's when we look at this. What are we going to be doing here? So the power that made the body heals the body. And like I said, we were talking about vaccines and stuff, and I know a lot of you guys, got the shot. That's okay. We love you, but that's exactly why you're listening today, to make sure that you get the information that you need to be able to help you get through this, come out successful, and not succumb to this. Does A lot of you haven't got the shot, the unvaccinated. That's okay too. It's okay. We don't judge you either way. But that make sure you're listening really intently today on what you need to do to make sure that you and your family are coming through this also. And making sure that this is the best 6 months of your life, not the worst. But the power that made your body heals your body. What does that mean? That means, again, you're created perfect. Your body knows what to do. All your healing is in your body already. Is that pill going to fix your body? Is that going to heal you? No, it is not. The pill is not going to heal you. It's not a lack of that pill that caused you to be sick, so it's not going to heal you. Does that make sense? But cancer, you cannot say that you healed your cancer unless by chemotherapy or radiation. That is legal on that. So someone can come in here, their cancer can go away. They can't say, Dr. D healed me. They can't say that. That's illegal. Because we can do radiation or chemotherapy. So, again, the power that made you heals you. Your gut is where your immune system, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. So why do we talk about your guts? Everybody's really excited about talking about guts. You know, it's like, it's not the sexy topic that everybody wants to think about or talk about. But this is where a lot of your health is. It's where most of your immune system is. The bacteria that are in viruses. There's more viruses in your body than you have cells in your body. Think about that for a second. Normally, there is more bacteria and viruses in your body than you have cells in your body. You have about 75 trillion cells in your body. Think about that for a second. Who's the host at this point? Right? There's more of them than us. So we got to make sure we take care of it. But what do we do to it? We take antibiotics. Now there's over 43 million prescriptions for antibiotics given every year that shouldn't have been. And that's only 20% of all the antibiotics given. Think about that. For things that were for antibiotics or for a virus or something else. But what do people want when they go into their doctor and they have a problem? They want, I want you to give me something, right? I want to feel better, and so you give me something, I feel better, right? That's supposed to how it's supposed to work is what people think. So they go there and they demand something. There's some good doctors that say, no, that's not what you need. There's some that'll just go, okay, here, just do this. Hey, they get paid more by doing it. Why not, right? What this doing is it's destroying your normal gut flora, which is your normal bacteria, your normal thing that you have, things that you should have in your gut. And if you've had an antibiotic before ever in your life, your gut is not where it should be. Now, if you've had multiple times you've had antibiotics, where does this go? See how this starts going. What are the first things they pump in you when you go to the hospital usually? Antibiotics, right? Because guess where one of the sickest places you can be on any before the last 2 years ever was the hospital, right? Because that's where all the bugs are, right? That's where all the stuff is, right? Because that's where everybody who's sick is, and that's where. And now we have all these drug-resistant bugs, right? These super bugs. Well, again, if you don't have your normal gut flora, you cannot fight this stuff off. And here, what are we doing? We're actually making yourself sicker in the process. Sugar. Where do we start with sugar? Is sugar good for your immune system? No, it is not. So we have way too much sugar in our diet. We don't like sugar. We're all addicted to sugar. You know it! I got an amen on sugar! Sugar, we all love it, right? We're all addicted. Sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Sugar is more addictive than cigarettes, than tobacco. Sugar is one of the most addictive things you can possibly have, and we're all addicted to it. We like it, we want it, we want more of it, right? Like it, I love it. But yeah, so sugar, right? We all love it. It's in everything, though. It's in everything. Try reading a label that doesn't have sugar in it. Good luck. And if there's not sugar, it's an artificial sugar, right? Which is even worse for you, because we want that sweet taste. I mean, I'm a sugar guy. I'm a sweets guy. I like sweet stuff. I mean, you can't say anybody that's around me. I like that stuff. I'm gonna crave it. You put this cookie in front of me, I'm gonna eat it eventually. Right? Yeah, so, I mean, I like that stuff too, right? I mean, I've told a lot of you guys before, you've heard me say, hey, when I was in college and I was working construction, I was drinking a 6-pack of Mountain Dew and a half of a cake pan of Fruity Pebble bars. Not Rice Krispie bars. Rice Krispie bars made with Fruity Pebbles because, you know, Rice Krispies, you know, that'd be too bland, right? Now, if I continued that, I'd be diabetic or dead or have cancer right now, right? Because we like, you know, all those artificial colors in there and all that stuff. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute. But we look at sugar. What does sugar lead to? Obesity, diabetes, etc. Right? And what is obesity is kind of like the entry drug to every disease process possible, right? We know that. We are the fattest country in the world by far. Right now, 40% of adults are obese. Not overweight, not fat, obese. 40% of us in the US. So if you're obese, you're already sick. But guess what? That's also like your entryway right into heart disease, cancer, diabetes, etc. So we know that, you know, obesity severely impacts our immune system and how it goes. Because again, now everything's got to work 3 times as hard, right? If you're 40 pounds overweight, how much harder does your heart have to work, right? I don't know about you, but if I have see this world wants to come listen to. Hi, you guys don't let me in. I don't know, but if I have to carry one of my kids weigh more than 40 pounds, but if I have to carry them on my back, you know, okay, no big deal, you know, do the piggyback ride for a little while. After an hour, am I going to be feeling the same way? Like, get off me! Oh, I can't do this anymore, right? Some of you guys are doing that all day, every day. You wonder why your knees hurt, your back hurts, right? This is what we do to ourselves, and it's making everything work hard. Your joints, your heart, your lungs, every organ of your body. So then what happens? Remember all these COVID deaths? 80% of these COVID deaths had 2.6 comorbidities. You know what comorbidity is? It's another cause of death. Heart disease, cancer, diabetes. All the things that are associated with obesity. So of these actual deaths from COVID, did they die from COVID or did they die with COVID? There's a big difference there, right? These weren't healthy people to start with, and then they developed COVID and then died. No. They were very, very sick people that a stiff wind blew, they would have fallen over, right? They were already very, very, very sick. And so, not everybody, not 100%, anything 100% of anything is BS, right? But a great majority of these, this is the case. Because again, we are not healthy as a country, as a culture, as a society. So what do we need to build your defenses up? How do we need to get you strong? So we're going to talk. I want to go into talk about supplementation and supplements. Now, ideally you should be getting all of your nutrients from your food, from what you eat. But unfortunately, our soil is so depleted, so lacking the minerals that it needs. We do need to supplement in some ways because we can't just get enough. And the volume of actual food that you would have to eat to be able to get what you need, you just physically can't eat that much food. That's how it gets big, right? So how do we build this up? So we're talking about fat first, right? The fat myth, right? You guys know, too much fat is bad for you, right? We talk about like that, you don't want to have fat. Well, it depends on which fat you're having. If it's bad fats or good fats. You guys know there's a difference, right? Trans fat, is that a good fat or a bad fat? It's a bad fat, right? You guys have heard that enough, right? Trans fat. Hydrogenated fats. Those are those bad fats. The average American has over 75 pounds of added fats every year. Fat is where we store our toxins too in our body. This is why, generally speaking, they say, when, like in the Bible, say pork is an unclean meat. It doesn't mean because they live in the mud. It's because they're very fatty meat, right? And they store all their toxins in it. So we eat that fat. We're eating those toxins. That's why. We look at that more. So again, like I'll talk about toxins here in a little bit later, but 90% of our calorie consumption is from foods with trans fats. So pretty much anything processed, anything in a box, anything you buy in the grocery store that doesn't have the sticker on it on its own thing already has this stuff in it. And because we crave this, we like these sugars and these fats to give us that texture that we like, that what we crave for. So want to replace those bad fats with healthy fats. So no more vegetable oil. I know vegetables in the name, that doesn't make it healthy. Canola oil is not healthy. There's no such thing as a canola plant. It's actually from rapeseed oil that's also used for engine degreasers. So stop using that. You're not degreasing yourself. So want to do healthy fats. Avocado, olive oil, coconut oil. These are good fats for us, right? Those are the ones we want to be putting in, not the bad stuff. So you've heard you are what you eat? No, you are what they eat.
Yep.
Right? So you got a picture of this. Yeah, so we got some turkeys here. Turkeys or chickens? Chickens, sorry. I can't see it. It's kind of hot from this view. I can't see much. But chickens there, right? So they're all packed into this thing right here. So we are what they ate, right? So what are they getting? A lot of places are getting fed growth hormone. And especially you'll see even on turkey farms, because they want them to get big and plump because they make more money that way, right? So the bigger the fatter they are, the more they genetically modify them so they can get this and they produce bigger, fatter, faster, right? It's because we want that big drumstick, right? We don't want the little one. We want the big turkey leg. We want the big chicken leg, right? We want the big chicken breast. We don't want the little one. We don't ever go with it. Can I get the smallest one? We want the big one, right? So we go through that, but they have all this other stuff in there. There's antibiotics, these growth hormones. Where does that go? Because that's when the chicken eats that. It's in it, right? That's part of its muscle. And what do we eat? We eat the muscle. We eat that. So guess what? We're getting that. We're surrounded by corn. They're combining corn right now and doing all that, right? Now, they spray the fields with Roundup and all the other stuff, right? The corn is genetically modified. And so all this corn out here, where does it go? Do we eat this corn that's here? Not directly, no. They use it for feed for the cows and the pigs that we eat. Where did all those chemicals go? In the ground and in the corn. So that goes into the pig or the cow, and then we eat that. So guess what? There's a toxic bioaccumulation that happens. So it takes approximately 8 pounds of organic material to create 1 pound of meat. So that meat from that pig or that cow is at least 8 times more toxic than the grain. And we're eating that. So you see why this is so the first things you're going to change, and you're going to change your diet, is clean up your meats. You're going to have your organic, grass-fed beef, your free-range, organic, antibiotic-free chicken, your Pacific wild-caught fish, not farm-raised like what we see here. They actually give fish corn. When should a fish ever eat corn? In my world, that does not happen, right? I don't see fish going out there in the field right now and trying to nibble on some corn. You know, I see a deer out there occasionally, I see a raccoon, a deer, something like that, but I do not see fish out in the field. I hope to go deer hunting this afternoon. I don't plan on seeing any fish out there, right? But this is what they do, because again, what is it? It's a grain. What are grains? Sugar. See where this starts to go? So here we have 2 different kind of plans that we teach you guys. We have the core plan. So with this, you're going to be getting as many healthy fats as you possibly can. We're going to be getting that full fat. So we want whole milk. If we're going to have dairy, we want whole milk. We do not want skim milk. We do not want 2%. We want whole milk. We want to get all the fat. We don't want to be stripping that fat away. So we want to make sure that those meats are those naturally raised, like we said. No antibiotics, no hormones, none of that stuff. Organic, and if you know it, where it came from, it's even better yet. That's why we have Bear Creek Acres here. They actually have some really good, that smell that you smell when you come in here, that's the sausages they made for us this morning. So got some samples for you coming up here to the break, so don't worry if you're hungry, we got some stuff for you. We got that. So that's going to actually help you with that. So I want to make sure you're getting enough of that. Now, if we're going to have grains, we want to have whole grains, but we want to limit those grains. We want to make sure we want more of that ancient grains. You guys heard of those ancient grains like quinoa and things like that, right? Things that you don't know how to pronounce. Yeah, that's it. And then when I get to your fruits, your vegetables, really important to have a good variety of those. The more colors, the better usually. And you want to make sure you're getting enough of that stuff. You know, Mom said eat your vegetables. She was right. Eat your vegetables. That's one of the biggest things. Most of us don't eat near enough vegetables in our diet. That's why we gave you guys. I don't know if some of you guys got a chance to try. We had some samples for you today. We had the new powdered multivitamins. So if you're sick of taking pills, or you don't do very well with taking pills, or the multivitamins are just too big for you, I'm not a big fan of trying to swallow that big of pills. What the multivitamins are. This is a great option for you. Try it. And it was a little sweet, almost like a sweet tart almost. But like my daughter tried it this morning for the first time. She said she would rather do that than even taking the kids' multivitamin, chewable. So hey, there you go. So hopefully you got a chance to try that. We also had our Max Greens there too for you guys to try that. You can really easy to mix some of that stuff in there. Get a chance to try some of those things. To make sure you're getting in the Max Greens, the fruit ones. There's 2 servings of vegetables and a serving of fruit in there. So you got your fruits and your vegetables. And if you put the 2 of them together, you got your multivitamins and your fruits and vegetables in one little glass of water. So made it easy for you. So hopefully you like it. If you do, got some of those for you guys. But you want to make sure your carbohydrates are plant-based. Yes.
What about nut milks?
Nut milks?
Yeah.
I mean, with everything, there's a spectrum on everything.
Yeah.
Oat wouldn't be a nut, but
well,
yes.
Yeah,
but yes, like almond milk, coconut milk,
yeah.
Those are better choices. Again, there's a whole spectrum. If it's a flavored one, stay away from it. If it's vanilla flavored or chocolate flavored, well, chocolate almond milk is still chocolate milk. Does that make sense? They still put chocolate, sugar in it, so you defeated all the good parts of it. Almond milk is a good replacement there. Now, if you have a nut allergy, obviously that's not a good thing to do with that. It's easy to have too much of it. But coconut milk's if you're going to not do dairy, coconut milk would be your best option. Almond milk is close second. It depends on what you're doing. If you're going to be cooking, I would recommend usually more of coconut milk in the can versus the box. We talk about if you're going to have if you're going to get dairy, you want to make sure it's organic milk, organic whole milk. What I love about Bear Creek Acres, they have the A2 casein, so you're not going to have the allergic response like others would. I know Carmela she'll tell you about it. I mean, she normally cannot have most dairy, but she can have this. Yes, it would not be good. It would quiet her down a little bit sometimes, but that's not what we want right now. But she can have this. She likes the cheese, right? They got their cheese, so she can eat that and not have to worry about it because it's the A2 case. It doesn't have that same response. So then we have our advanced plan. Our advanced plan is doing all the same stuff, except you're just going to go just a little bit, tighten it down just a little bit more. So we're going to get rid of pretty much all your grains, all your sugars. Is the goal of that. And so the fruits are going to be low glycemic fruits like your Granny Smith apples or your cherries. We're not having bananas and pineapples and oranges and that. That makes sense? So that's the difference between the 2 plans there. So now I'm going to start getting into what are the nutrients needed we get, because obviously we're not getting enough from what we eat, like I said, so we need a supplement wise. So what are some of the things that we need to put in? So we're going to talk about that right now. So vitamin D. No one here has ever heard of vitamin D, right? You've never heard me talk about vitamin D. Right? That's like anyone that ever has any symptoms of a cold, flu, anything like that, or feeling under the weather, what do I tell you? Up your vitamin D3, right? Your vitamin D is so important. Now our bodies will naturally produce vitamin D3 if we're out in the sun. But we need to have at least 40% of our skin exposed for at least an hour to direct sunlight. I know it's sunny out right now, but I don't see any of us going outside and taking our shirt off and laying out on the ground for an hour. It's a little cool out there right now. And so are we going to be doing that for very long? Especially in northern climates, we're deficient. 40% of the US population is severely deficient in vitamin D3, especially if you're in the northern climates like we are. So what are we going to, because I guarantee you in a month or two, you're definitely not going out there with your shirt off, right? And you're not going to get near enough exposure, right? You're going to get exposure, you're going to get shaking exposure, right? So, well, yeah, so vitamin D, very important. So you want to make sure you're getting enough of that. Vitamin C. You guys have heard of vitamin C for a cold, right? You've been told that for a long time. Vitamin C is shown to actually decrease your illness time about at least 17%, 17 to 22%. And so vitamin C is huge on that. You get a lot of vitamin C from, obviously you talk about your fruits, you think about oranges, everybody thinks about, but actually there's some, actually like your peppers, like green peppers and red peppers, they're loaded with vitamin C. A lot of other things like that. Tomatoes have a lot of vitamin C in them also. Another ways you can get vitamin C in there. But you want to make sure you're getting enough vitamin C, especially when you're talking about keeping your immune system up, right? You want to have it up structure right now. Zinc. Zinc is something that is required for every cell in your body, and most of us are deficient, we're not getting enough of it. And it's a lot of foods that we do have, but most of us aren't eating enough of it. And so the zinc is so very important when we look at that. Now, elderberry and echinacea, you've probably heard of these things before. Elderberry's become a lot more popular. Like elderberry syrup, you're starting to hear a lot more of, especially recently, of things to do, especially with COVID, we heard about this. It helps greatly reduce your infection time. It helps also really speed up the healing time in there. And both known for that. So, and so what I'm going to get into now is, you guys have in your folder, you have a sheet that looks like this, and you have a sheet that looks like this. So I'm going to go through some of the supplements, because what we do is we created some bundles with these things here together for you guys today to make it easier for you. All right? By the way, there is a supplement order form in your folder also. Everything here today, because you guys are here making a difference in your life, everything is 15% off. The bundles are actually 20% off. We're just putting it all together, right? We do exactly what you need. So we've created exactly what you need to get through this to be able to go on this. So I want to walk you through what's in each of these bundles and why that's important. So we already talked about kind of everything in pretty much in this first bundle. The mood boost. So this is meant to be like if you were, okay, it's fall, it's really dry. We haven't got, if we've gotten rain here lately, but if we hadn't gotten rain for a long time, think about maybe being out west, right? It's fire season. Well, maybe I'm just going to water the lawn a little bit extra here because it's that time of year. Everything's pretty dry. I just want to make sure everything. So you're gonna water the lawn. That's kind of what this is. This is your mood boost. This is what everyone should be in everybody's cabinet at home. So what's in it? So you have the vitamin D3. Now, like I said, I wrote down some of the why I like each of these in here for you guys. You can read it yourself. But one of the big things why I really like the vitamin D, because it actually has 10 billion probiotics in there, which is good for your gut. So it really helps with absorption. So you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck. That's why I really like the vitamin D that we have in there. That's good. And to maintenance levels, you need at least 5,000 IUs of vitamin D3. And that's enough to prevent almost all cancers. So between 5,000 and 20,000 IUs of vitamin D3 a day is what you should be taking. Vitamin C. Vitamin C is actually an antiviral drug, is what it's classified as. So big when we're trying to fight viruses, right? So one of the it helps regenerate your soft tissue damage. So what happens when someone has colds, where they're doing a lot of coughing? When you cough with it, there's a lot of soft tissue damage to your lungs, to your throat, right? You have a sore throat. This is where vitamin C is really helpful on that. It really helps decrease your respiratory infections also. Zinc, like we talked about. The zinc is huge for a lot of things, but it actually helps decrease hospitalizations and mortality rate by 50% if you're getting appropriate amounts of zinc. It's also antiviral. But this is what I didn't know this until I was actually researching this, that if you don't have enough zinc, you need to take 244% more vitamin D. Wow, right? I didn't know that until I started doing this research. You need 244% more vitamin D if you don't have enough zinc in your body. Because zinc is what helps get that in helps your body use that the most.
What are other things besides supplement that you get zinc from? in your
There's a
foods?
lot of other foods. I have some on the list back here. So a lot of your nuts, some of your meats you have it in. And you can have, like I said, I have some, obviously eggs, some of your dairy, garlic has some of those things too. Right? We can get some of that. Again, usually we don't get enough of this stuff. That's why. So, the other thing that's in this Immune Boost bundle is the IM support. This has the elderberry, the echinacea that we were talking about, as it all combined. So this gives you basically everything else you need to be able to really get through that. So that's why we created this bundle with these things together, really help on that, okay? So again, this is the thing that everybody should have this in there. Everybody should have a watering hose, a garden hose at home that you can water the lawn if you need to, right? Something's going on. If there's a fire at your house or at your neighbor's house, you're at least going to hook up the garden hose and start spraying that until the fire department gets there, right?
How long will that last?
Almost all of our supplements are designed for a month, for about 30 days. That's what they're designed. That's what they package them that way because that's kind of how most people go about things, so they don't have to. So one thing doesn't run out.
So if you're buying
After
for
2 weeks, one thing
spouse,
doesn't run out to here. And actually, on this sheet here, for the bundle, how we have this planned out, it actually says on there how many you take a day to do that. So it's really easy. It's all right here for you guys on that part. So the second bundle that we had here is the exposure bundle. This is more if you're going to, so this is more like if you went to a party and you found out one of your friends was sick and you were exposed to this, right? So this is kind of like, okay, you can smell the smoke, there's a fire over there. I'm going to do a little work, I'm going to trim some stuff back, I'm going to make sure I spend a little bit more time watering the lawn, spray the trees down, get everything, maybe spray the house down a little bit, make sure everything's wet, not near as much damage. So this is what you're going to do with this. Now, this is the same things that were in there, plus we're just adding in curcumin. This is going to help decrease your inflammation in there. I like to have everything all right on the sheet here for you. And it also has, instead of the vitamin C the capsules, this has a powder. So it's going to be more easier on your gut, especially because when you're taking, you can only take so many pills, kind of thing. So it's more of a powder that you can have. And this has the Pronac in there. Vitamin A is really there too. That's really helps that soft tissue damage. Really helps your gut absorb better. Pronac is your N-acetylcholine, which is big for antioxidants, and it really helps you digestion on that stuff. So that's where the exposure is going to. So this is when if you've been exposed to something, you want to make sure you're taking this pump. Now, I forgot something before I got done. So I know I went through a lot of stressful stuff at the very beginning. So I want everybody to just take a deep breath in. Let it all out. I want you to relax. You're going to spend a lot of money today. Okay? I said it right there. All right? But this is things that you're going to need to get through this next 6 months, like I said. I'm not doing this. This is not a business to sell supplements. This is not why I'm here, not why I do this. But these are the things that these are things that are going to be essential to get us through them. Does this make sense? And so last one is the recovery bundle. So this is, hey, maybe you had COVID, right? Maybe there's a lot of people that have it. And some people, that was a day and I'm good. Some people, this is more of a knockdown drain. I didn't have any energy. I couldn't do anything. I was out for a while, right? This is what you need to do for that, right? If you had it, you had that problems, or you're going through it, this is what you need to be doing right here. So this is doing essentially the same thing as the exposure bundle, except the dosages are a little bit different on that. So that's the same ingredients on it. Now, I know it's shocking right now, but there's some shipping delays. So we do not have enough of all this for everybody today. Okay? We do have stuff going. I just got an email this morning that a couple of these things are going to be getting here Monday or Tuesday. So if you order anything today, if we don't have everything you need or everything that's there, we will get it to you.